Welcome to Hospitality Insights. My name is Sam-Erik Ruttmann, and today we promise we're going to have a great show. We're going to meet some key industry leaders out of US to talk about how the COVID-19 had affected the global meeting, convention and events business, but more importantly, also looking at the forward, how my interviews will see the future in the business. It's a multi-billion-dollar business, so if it's not a trillion globally, and also in US, it's representing a substantial part of the hospitality business. Global Hospitality Insights are providing a series of episodes about the hot topics which are related to hospitality and travel. And we are partnered with Winning, which is an online course for hospitality students and hoteliers who want to brush up their knowledge. Also, Malta Hotel and Restaurant Association, Mediterranean Tourism Foundation, Visit Malta, and Ministry of Tourism Malta. So very warm welcome. So we have a good crowd from Malta joining us as a viewer. So could you just write down the Winning Portal website, because that's where you can see also our replays of our show. So it's winning.travel. That's the name of the website. Just press there. Now, in the event you want to see it from YouTube, all you have to do is go to Sam-Erik Ruttmann YouTube channel, and that's where you can see the replay also. So let's get the show on the road. But first of all, where are you viewing from? Just write down your name in the comment, or if you don't want to put your name, just put where you're viewing from. We'd love to give you a shout out that you are joining us. And if you like the content, please give some social currency to our panelists with some thumbs ups or hearts. This is our social currency. So, without further ado, let me bring in my first guest. So here, my first guest is Paul Steen, and he's the Global Director for HelmsBriscoe. So welcome, Paul. How are you? So I think we are a little bit mute. Can you?
Okay.
So, Paul, how are you?
I'm doing good from Orlando. I hope you can hear me.
I hear you loud and clear. So welcome again, and from Orlando, Florida. And Paul, we've known each other for a number of years, and we will not bore the viewers of how long back we are knowing each other. But I probably can see it from my color of my hair that how long we've known each other.
That's correct. Yeah, going back to our college days. So I agree. It's been a great ride, and I'm really happy that we're still in the same industry and making a difference. So it's great to see you again.
Thank you very much, Paul. So you've been with HelmsBriscoe for a number of years. So could you share, give us a company overview and history for those viewers who like to learn more about HelmsBriscoe?
Yes, thanks, Sam-Erik. Happy to. I've been with HelmsBriscoe for 18 years, and HelmsBriscoe, our company overview of who we are is Roger Helms developed the hotel site selection concept for HelmsBriscoe in 1992. The idea came about as a result of his days in hotel sales and his desire to do more with the client relationships he had established. Most importantly, he wanted to be able to offer clients a broader set of products and options and have the ability to work with them regardless of where their meetings were taking place. HelmsBriscoe is a company that takes the time to understand the needs of the customer and represent those needs to the hotel community on their behalf. We are considered the global leader in meetings procurement. We have 1,400 associates in 55 countries, so we are truly a global company. We had 1.36 billion in room revenue booked in 2019, and that represented 6.6 million room nights in hotels in 2019, which is more than 50,000 programs booked last year, which represented an overall $2 billion in gross meeting spend contributed annually. We have some hallmarks with HelmsBriscoe. In 1995, we opened our first Canadian office. And then in the early 2000s, we opened up offices in the UK and France. And in 2009, we opened up an office in the Asia Pacific region. And HB is considered a founding member of the Meetings Mean Business Coalition in 2013. So our mission statement is to be the most highly respected, trusted, and sought after meeting resource firm in the worldwide. We are committed to exceeding the expectations of our clients and travel partners by providing excellent value and exceptional customer service. So that sort of rounds out what HelmsBriscoe is. And the name comes from Roger Helms and Bill Briscoe that put their names together, it's almost 30 years ago now. And that's where that name comes from. And it's I think probably the most well-known name in hotel sales circles worldwide. So that kind of rounds it out.
Okay, thank you, Paul. And since you're working globally, what kind of world events do you cover? Just to give some flavor of the magnitude and the caliber of the events.
Sure. Thank you for that question. Working globally, I've got about a dozen clients that I book for globally. One of them is in the luxury sports travel segment. I book for them Olympics, World Cup, Super Bowl, Masters, golf, Daytona 500, just to name a few. And I also have a client in the saltwater aquarium business, and the largest saltwater aquarium convention in the country. I book that for them on an annual basis. I also deal with a client in the Comic-Con era, which is sort of a new thing in the past 20 years. Comic-Con conventions, they get quite big, and I have actually several clients in that area that I book for. Government meetings is another area out of Washington, D.C. I have a government client, the Department of Veterans Affairs. I'm sure many have heard of that, and I book some of their meetings. Attorney retreats. So I have a legal client that does a couple of retreats every year, and I'm able to book their retreats. Military reunions is another client that I book for, and media trade shows is another client. Trade associations, another one. Annual meetings for amusement parks is another client. Society meetings for university professors. I also have a client in the education field. And construction companies, annual meetings, and foster care meetings. So that rounds out the top dozen. And I am working on other clients as well to bring on board. So keeps me pretty busy.
I can see that. I mean, it's really a wide scope from sort of social events to sports events and aquarium and lawyer associations, etc. So it's a wide scope. That was great in 2019, and then we had this pandemic that hit us. And how did your group meeting clients react to the pandemic? Can you just share some stories of what you went through and what the clients had to go through, because obviously some of the events could not take place when they were booked?
Yeah, there was immediate reaction, Sam. The restrictions for group meetings in 2020 meant immediate cancellations or potential moves to future dates. So basically, my client had to give up on holding the meeting that was scheduled and contracted and booked at the hotel, and we had to immediately examine options to move those to future dates. I was very fortunate to be able to move 80% of my client meetings to future dates. Others had to cancel outright, which there was no recourse for. So that was the immediate reaction, and fortunately, we're through most of that at this point.
Yeah. Now, if you're looking at that, the portion which were moved to another date, can you just share a rough idea of how much of the business that you had booked, which was then cancelled because of pandemic, now has been confirmed that you will have with the future date?
Yeah. Well, like I said, 80% of my clients we were able to book for future dates.
Okay.
But if what I've learned about this pandemic is that all clients want to rebook and conduct their meetings when they thought it would be safe. So the willingness is there. So that's the good news, is that we're able to move these meetings to future dates, and all clients realize that there's really no substitute for face-to-face meetings.
Yeah.
This is the key. I think that our medium that we're communicating on now is great for sort of a stopgap and to keep the ball rolling, but the ultimate goal is to get back to face-to-face meetings.
Yeah. And how about your business focus now, looking into, since we're almost at the end of 2020, and you're probably obviously looking at 2021 and perhaps more into the future. What is your
Yes.
business focus looking forward?
Yeah, thanks, Sam-Erik. It's my immediate focus was to move the meetings to future dates to preserve the business volume. So that was my immediate focus, because basically my clients look to me for that service. I helped them get to where they were, and then I need to get them to the next logical step. Prospecting for new client meetings to source also has picked up for me. So it's quite a busy time, actually. You'd think that, well, with no meetings to tackle, I'm not as busy, but that's not true. It's between moving and also prospecting for new clients. I'm busier than I've ever been. So
Yeah. Now, in terms of travel schedule, what does your travel schedule look like in not dwelling at the past, but when you're looking now into 2021, where do you see yourself being attending for events or trade shows or client visits and so on internationally?
Sure. Yeah, I was traveling about 4 to 6 times per year, over the years leading up to the pandemic, and that obviously dropped off completely. Matter of fact, I had a site inspection planned for March, which was almost went forward, but then was pulled at the last minute, and so there's been no business travel for me for the remainder of this year. But I normally travel, 4 to 6 times a year. I hope that I have maybe 2 or 3 business travel trips scheduled for next year, to and for next year or so, to industry trade shows. And actually, I already attended one trade show here in Orlando, which was local, and I can tell you that the demand and the pent-up demand for being in person is there, and so we're very close to turning the corner on this, and hopefully by next year, or early next year, we will be there along with the promised vaccine and therapeutics that we've been hearing about. So
When you compare to the actual event that you attended now, what were the things or the procedures in place? Because we have this, I don't call it social distancing, but physical distancing and making sure that everybody feels safe. What were the things that they had put in place to make sure that you can pull off a event which you like on face to face?
yeah, so the main thing is that the requirements for mask wearing and signage are very clear. So this is also when you are going to attend a meeting or go anywhere, to bring your mask with you. And so I think that the industry has really been very upfront and clear about giving clear direction. So the signage is everywhere. Everyone wants to know that the surfaces are cleaned and safe, and this is clear from the hotel rooms to the meeting spaces and also the sanitizers that you find everywhere. So truly, clearly, the industry has gotten the message, and it's a very safe environment, and everyone can feel confident that the industry has stepped up to the current condition.
Yeah, very good. Now, I noticed I was checking out about some industry events which are virtual. Did you attend any of those virtual events which you would have otherwise attended as a maybe buyer or and so on?
Yes, actually, I attended a recent GPS. It's called GPS trade show, virtual trade show, and I was pretty impressed. I was actually able to meet with my hotel partners, just as we are doing now, and on my computer. But it was clear that we were missing the face-to-face, and that it was no substitute for the face-to-face. But
Yeah.
it can be done, and it just it goes to show there is a meet in the middle, but we're all looking forward to getting back to the face-to-face. So
yeah. But for now, if you look at sort of the 2021 business, which are in the books, I mean, do you see that this eagerness and the pent-up demand to travel again is that people are ready to just once they feel safe, they will jump on the plane and attend these events? Is that what the reaction you're getting from your clients?
The emotional feel is there, Sam-Erik. It really comes down to government restrictions, state restrictions, and really the willingness for the corporate America to get on board and drop their restrictions so that they can send out their business travelers on planes so that they can start traveling. Once we see the corporate America coming on board with dropping the restrictions to say that we can operate in this environment safely, then business is back. And I feel that with the medical establishment catching up with the need for a vaccine, and that becomes fully administered by hopefully the middle of next year sometime, that we will see the full effect of business coming back in the hospitality industry.
Okay, well, that's terrific. Well, Paul, thanks very much. Now, for all the viewers, if you have any questions or comments, just write down in your comments, and we will address them with Paul during the wrap-up session of this show today. So thanks very much, Paul. And I will then bring in our next guest, who is Tonja Barwick. She's a managing director. Hello, Tonja.
Hi, Sam-Erik.
Well, good to have. Thank you very much for your time to join us this morning in US. And where are you based at?
I'm actually in Orlando, Florida as well, and I appreciate the invitation. I love it when we all come together just to share information and keep this industry running. So thank you.
It's my pleasure. And could you just describe now for the viewers and what area do you cover in US for the business?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so my role at HelmsBriscoe is I help co-support the Florida team, as well as I do support some mixed locations as well. We're here really just to support the associates with their needs to make sure that the company is thriving and that the associates are succeeding in their own goals.
Yeah. Now, once the pandemic hit and life changed, what has your day and week been like compared to, let's say, last year? Have you been busier, and in what way have you been busy, if that's the case?
Yeah, we have been way busier in a sense. We haven't gone away. We've been here from day one. So our clients have really relied on us to be there, to be their voice, to figure out the plan if it's a cancellation or a rebook. So I have been unbelievably busy with every client that I assist with. And again, like Paul stated, it was day to day trying to figure out who to connect with, who to discuss with, and then come up with a plan that's mutual agreed on both sides. So our days before in 19 were more focused towards the future. We were booking further out. We were planning further out. Once the COVID hit, it was really day to day, hour to hour, really just trying to figure out what was the next step for each client that I represented.
Wow, that's quite a opportunity you have there to serve those partners there, and really for some people have a tendency to think that, well, there's pandemic, well, then you're working from home and you put in a couple of hours in the morning and maybe in the afternoon, and that's it for the day. But that doesn't sound like your life is quite the opposite.
Right, it really was. I mean, because there was no authority above us to not work. So we were working. So our clients were very excited that we were there hand in hand with them.
Yeah. I'm interested, and also for the viewers, Could you describe what is a destination partner and what role they play in your business?
Yeah, so a destination partner is somebody that represents a location that supplies information and support to their hotels for me, when I'm looking at a destination for a client's program. With the whole COVID situation, they've really turned their role to educators for us. Like Paul mentioned earlier, every state, every city within the state are running on different government guidelines. So the destination partners really helped us understand what their area was really doing during the COVID time and what they're doing going forward. There was quite a few phases that were put in place. Most of them started at 2, some of them are at 3, with different guidelines for those phases. And even with those guidelines, some of the hotels interpreted different. So the destination partners really helped us make sure that we got the right information, understood the right information, and then really worked with the client to make sure that they were getting all that information so that they made the right decisions. We receive every day more and more information from these destination partners on updates, on changes, on hotel information. Some have canceled, some have closed their doors, some have reopened, some are doing meetings in different ways. Here in Florida, we've got the benefit of being warm, so a lot of outdoor opportunity versus a New York or a Chicago per se. So it's been a lot of communication and a lot of education from our destination partners.
Well, did you have to establish a different follow-up list or process list for this, or is it something that you already had in place prior to the pandemic? Because I see there's a lot of detail and a lot of follow-up in order to obtain the latest updates.
Right. No, we definitely did have to create a different communication plan, making sure, again, that we were connecting with our destination partners, made sure I got the right information so my clients could, again, make the right decision. So now the destination partner is more involved more today than they were probably in the past. Not to say they weren't supporting and they were helping us, but today they're more our voice to what is going on in their destination.
Yeah. And how have they reacted to the pandemic, your destination partners? I mean, when you are talking with them, how do they feel?
They feel good. They felt like everybody else, like where was this going to go when we were in the heat of it. But they were very encouraged that we were there to help them, still market for them. So we're, my clients and I, we love that they didn't stop either. Now, grant you, they were affected by COVID as well with some, furloughs and layoffs. So we might have had to find a different destination partner person. But once we got it and they were able to feed us the right information, it really helped my clients really feel, comfortable about how they made their decision moving forward.
Yeah, very good. If you look at your to-do list, what has changed from last year to this year, and maybe looking at into 2021?
Right. Again, we plan for the future. Today we're planning day to day. Just really unsure of what each day is gonna challenge me with my customers. The next search is there for some customers, but some customers it's not. They're still feeling the effects of not just COVID itself, but the financial side of the COVID. Usually I'm booking, 9 to 12 months out, even further. Today I'm booking 1 to 3 months out. Oh. And there's a lot of flexibility in those 1 to 3, making sure that there's understanding of COVID when it comes to attrition and in food and beverage minimums. There's a lot more language in the contracts, a lot more language that I'm learning before COVID in that sense. So really in 2019 and before, I was probably overseeing about 100 meetings from my clients that they represent. Today, those 100 meetings are not active today. More, it's like Paul had mentioned, a lot of rebooks. The cancellations that we had, I will say it's nice that they're coming back. Those clients of mine really want to support those cities and those hotels. So even though they canceled because they were not for sure what the future was going to hold for their event, the ones that know that they are going to bring that event back, they're going back to those hotels that they canceled originally. So a lot of rebooking, a lot of just starting fresh, starting over. In past years before COVID, it was really hard. The economy was strong. It was a buyer's market. So it was tough to find space and the right rates and the right consent. Obviously, it's much easier, but now it's the contract language. It's more that information. So, but more and more today, we value our clients, and our clients are really there, understanding that I'm there for them day to day.
Yeah. Without going deep into the language or the new language, but could you give some example, just a taste of what are the things that you have to now learn yourself, and also share this with your clients and the partners?
Sure. I mean, just the force majeure, obviously, and making sure that there's more clear understanding of what could be in effect for a force majeure action. Review clauses are really big right now because, again, we're not for sure how fast we're going to recover to our original numbers of past history. It's kind of hard to go off our history right now. So review clauses. There is also the attrition and the food and beverage minimum for the review clauses. But really, it's more the force majeure, just to make sure that now that we know this is a possibility, how do we make that clause easier for both to understand? Yeah.
Well, very good. Well, thank you, Tonja, for this and for this update. And so stay around and we're at the wrap-up session. So so then we will look at what comments or questions has come from the viewers. So thank you, Tonja, very much.
Sure. You're welcome.
So and for all of you who have joined us for the show, again, a warm welcome. Please write down any comments or any questions you have for Tonja or Paul, and then our next guest, and we will then deal with them during the wrap-up part of our show. And our episode, I just want to mention that our episode is, we are in partner with the Winning online course portal that provides online courses for hotel students and hoteliers that like to brush up their skills, and the Malta Hotel and Restaurant Association, Mediterranean Tourism Foundation, Visit Malta, and Ministry of Tourism of Malta. So those are our valued partners for this show. So now I will bring Brian Plott, who is Regional Vice President. So I'll bring him into the show. So hello, Brian, how are you?
Hey, Sam-Erik, how are you?
Well, great to have you on the show today, and we learned so much already from Tonja and Paul what they are doing. So could you just share with what observations you can share about how hotel partners have reacted to the pandemic, and from your point of view?
Well, Tonja and Paul are two of our best that work for HB, so they did a great job of outlining it. Hotel partners are just the lifeblood of our business. We love them, and obviously gone through a tremendous amount of change through the pandemic. And I think in certain cases we've probably gotten a little bit closer to some of our hotel partners, and feel for them as they've really felt the pain of what this pandemic has done. And I think our role in filling the void of helping customers connect with that hotel is more evident than ever. I think hotels appreciate that, as well as our customers appreciate that. As Tonja mentioned, we have been here from the beginning and probably worked harder through it. And that's been just a breath of fresh air through what's been a pretty difficult time. Thankfully, we're starting to see a lot of the hotel partners really kind of get back online, get protocols together, beginning to get back to regular business, or attempting to, which is really encouraging and good to see.
Yeah. I mean, Tonja was mentioning about a lot of the follow-up in order to get all the details from the hotels, because certain hotels were shut down, they're reopening and so on. Share about your from your point of view this challenge that you have in order to get the most up to date. Does it mean that you are really doing so chasing this on it's one of your big issues that you need to address with the hotels?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the word chase is used quite frequently, and I think we, as in my role and our associates role, we hate that. We hate chasing the hotels. I think,
Yeah.
Maybe some suggestions for the audience, if they are in the hotel world, is, be proactive with that. It's really helpful. Put your hotel at the top of the list when you definitely have all of those details together and they're easily accessible. The clients appreciate that now more than ever, I think, is to have that information readily available, what you can do, what you're capable of doing. Some of our best hotel partners that have done that from the beginning, I think, have really shined through this entire ordeal, and the others are catching on for sure. I think as people begin to start to source more meetings and look at more meetings in business, it's evident as to who kind of has everything together and who is kind of trailing behind. So my piece of advice for all hotel partners is to really wave the banner at the top of the building as to what you're doing and how you're making alterations to your business in order to accommodate the necessary needs of the client.
Yeah, that's a really good advice. I think more than ever, hotels have to get ahead of the curve and really make more noise about themselves in a very positive way to let everyone know that they are open and that they are ready for business, and also educate the future customers that what they have done now compared to when it was business as usual in 2019. Yeah. So how has business volumes and outlooks changed now from the start of 2020 and then looking to the future, because we are now leading towards the end part of this year, and we still of course don't know what the future brings. I mean, everybody talks about the hope is the big word, but what do you see from can you just share your views and observations?
Yeah, hope is another word that I think we're all using pretty frequently. I think we're very hopeful. I think we have seen some encouraging signs of business certain market segments beginning to meet and want to meet. Tonja mentioned, we have seen kind of a combination of events that have booked further out. And in many cases, that's a result of people that have moved their business from 2020 into the future. And in some of those scenarios, they've actually not only moved it, but they've booked additional years, which is really encouraging and helpful long-term. Tonja mentioned the short-term stuff. That has been a bit lacking. We'd like to see more of that, obviously, but that's going to be dictated by safety, companies and organizations' comfort level with meeting and getting people together. And I'm encouraged. I see a little bit more people showing interest. Our associates are a little bit busier, I think, sourcing meetings. Not every market segment, but certain market segments. I mean, Paul touched on a few of his that are keeping him busy. I definitely think it's going to be a gradual return. At least that's my personal opinion, and just on what I've seen. And that's probably to be expected. I think as companies and associations get a little bit more comfortable, you'll hopefully see that grow. But Tonja mentioned, we're moving into more of a buyer's market, which for the customer is a really completely different scenario than what we've been living through in the last 4 or 5 years. And that may also dictate some of the pace at which the business comes back. So I hate to use that I don't know yet, or we're unsure yet, but I think that's kind of the world that we're living in, and we're just going to have to wait and see. But I have great hopes that we are going to get back to a sense of volume, hopefully similar to what we had seen in the last 4 years.
Right. How much of your time do you have a chance actually to meet your hotel partners personally, or is it more in in sort of the virtual space where you are on Teams or a Zoom or more like Zoom calls?
This year has been definitely more virtual.
Yeah.
Personally, I prefer the face-to-face. We are beginning to start to do that, though. I attended a face-to-face event about 3 weeks ago here in Orlando, and it was fantastic with one of our hotel partners. It was great to see people. I think what we're finding, and at least the conversations that I'm having, is that people miss that. People miss the face-to-face. They miss that energy that's in a room when you have groups getting together. But obviously, we have to do it safely. We've got to do it at the comfort level of our customer, as well as guidelines and whatnot. But I am starting to see some hotel partners begin to reach out and say, let's start small. Let's get together face to face. We can do this, and had some success with that. But certainly up until, I would say, probably the last month or so, it has definitely been virtual.
Yeah, it's understandable. Just Brian, what has personally kept you going through this pandemic, considering that it really is affected everyone? No one is unaffected about this. How has it affected you?
Yeah, I wish I had a really good answer for you. I probably would say I have found exercise to be the best stress reliever. It's crazy. I think that has kind of kept me going a little bit. I read something earlier in the year that talked about people going through anxiety. The best way to kind of fight that is, when you feel that, is to exert some type of physical energy. And it has worked for me. I would like to say that I'm the healthiest I've ever been. I don't know that eating has also probably been a bit of concern for me through this, as it has many people. But no, seriously, I think, we're lucky that we have a good group of people within our company, and we do communicate pretty frequently. We've all kind of leaned on each other, and I think that has really gotten us through. I think we're all anxious to kind of things to get back to normal, but also very appreciative and blessed and thankful for those that we have in our company that work for us and that have provided for each other. So I would probably say that's what has gotten me through the most.
Okay, very good. Okay, thank you very much, Brian. I'm going to now bring everyone to the same screen where we started. We will have Paul and Tonja, and then we have Brian, and here's your host. So I was just looking at the comments, and yes, we're getting thumbs ups and hearts, so they appreciate your value that you're providing for the show. But let's talk about future of travel. That's very much of almost like a space title. What is the future of travel? But where do you see in your line of business the future of travel going to be like? And maybe we can start with Paul. What is if you can share with us your view on that?
My view is it's strong, and I'm getting that from my clients directly, and also from future global events such as World Cup. World Cup is on the horizon in 2026 for the United States, Canada, and Mexico, and the preparations are already underway. I really believe in setting your sights far, and so that leads me to give you this strong 2 thumbs up prediction for travel. And short term, a lot of things have to take place, such as vaccines and therapeutics that will bring business travelers back. But I think that's right around the corner. So that's my prediction.
Yeah. And what do you think, Tonja? Can you share your views on this, on the future of travel?
Yeah, I think my clients are the same. They're very strong. I've got 2 clients that have 21 programs, and they are 100% excited about the in-person opportunity this time around versus 2020, where they did not have the option. They're hearing from their members that they want it as well, but they are still being understanding of the members that don't want it. So both of them are looking at a hybrid opportunity, but they are going 100% in the travel and in meeting in person. And we see a lot of it on the transient side right now. I mean, just being in Florida, we have seen over and over more and more people traveling on their personal time because, they were able to, and even though that there were restrictions in place, they figured out a way. So I think the more that we get through the holidays and people are traveling even more because of their families, they're going to have more feeling and more comfort in traveling for business or events. So I do feel the same as Paul, that 2021 is definitely going to be a traveling year.
Okay, thank you. And then how about you, Brian?
They said it all. They said it all. Yeah, I would agree. It's interesting that we all three live in Florida, so we definitely see that leisure travel wanting to come and stay. That has been really strong the last few months as we've been getting out and seeing that. And I think that's the first step, that, and Paul mentioned business travel is the other thing. I think those two things typically are what are the precursors in any situation that we've been through before, where once that starts happening, it leads to, larger events happening. And it's a slow process in some cases, but that's a good sign. I think there's the intent for people to get out. I'm seeing that with my customers. I'm hearing that from many of our associates who are saying the same thing. I think it's just a timing thing of when is that going to be safe? When are people going to feel comfortable with that? And that will come for sure.
Okay, well, thank you. And now we have a question coming up here. Who do you look up to for inspiration? What inspires you? Who has inspired you during this challenging time? Paul?
Sure. I would say that I look to my leadership, and we've got strong leadership here in Florida with HelmsBriscoe, but also hotel leadership. I read industry publications, Hotel Magazine, and so on, and I really see the hotel leaders stepping up big time, taking ownership of this situation we're in with the pandemic, and just every hotel major brand is ahead of this. And even all the independents are following along. So I I really find inspiration in the hotel leadership, basically saying, okay, the world presented us a challenge. We've met that challenge, and we're ready for you. And the doors are open. The red carpet is out. So that's where I look for leadership, for inspiration.
Yeah. Now, if you would have to look besides in hospitality, perhaps not in your industry at all, just someone that you have said that, oh, that was very inspiring. Is there anyone you want to that comes to your mind?
Are you asking me or?
Yeah, Paul, because I'm just bugging you now.
Well, I have to say that I look to my God for inspiration, and that's what's kept me going through this challenging time, and I've always looked to that, but maybe more so now than anything. So
yeah, thank you, Paul. Thank you for that answer. And then Tonja, who do you look up to inspiration?
Like you mentioned, there's so many different avenues of inspiration nowadays, right? It's crazy how this has affected everything, and I looked up to, like Paul said, our industry, our associates, but honestly, I think it's the grassroots of everybody, to tell you the truth. To my neighbor who went around to each neighbor to gather food for a food drive that was in our local city, to our school and what they're doing for our kids. It's everywhere. Everywhere you look, there's been so much compassion for what is happening. In April, one of my friends developed a movement for all of us to come and help out at a church to help deliver food, hand out food, and that's just one of thousands. It's just every time we see it. My kids have so many friends that have asked us to help out here or there. We've got several associates supporting United Way, Ronald McDonald House, just so many. It almost brought people back, I think, to to
Yeah.
helping each other through it. So I really think it's all inspiring. I mean, I can't just name one. There's so many out there that it inspires me to help them to make sure that our world gets through this. It's wonderful.
Yeah. So, Tonja, you mentioned about the generous acts that you have seen during the COVID. Maybe Brian, can you share what you have seen in terms of generous acts that you have observed?
So, yeah, it's been incredible. I mean, to Tonja's point, I think it's grassroots. It is really local. It is my wife has gotten super involved with this local charity here as an example that provides bags of very products that are necessary: first aid kit, Band-Aids, toothpaste, toothbrush. And the concept was developed by a 9-year-old boy who saw a homeless guy on the side of the road and felt like he needed to do something. So they came up with this concept, and everybody has these bags in their car and they're giving them, as you see, homeless people. It's a growing problem. It has become way worse during COVID for sure. We're all very blessed to have a home and have a roof over our head, but there are many that do not. And, I think grassroots, small things like that, the difference that makes is incredible. We were on a call, Tonja and I were on a call last week with several of our associates who are all equally involved in grassroots efforts in their own communities, helping people from kids in need, hospital, homeless. It's really inspiring. And I think that if you put all of that together is just a huge positive throughout this entire process, is helping those that are less fortunate than us. And, that has never wavered, I think. And I'm super proud of those that are within our organization that have done that. And there are many others out there, Sam-Erik. I'm sure within the hotel community as well as across the globe, there are many others of those stories that have resonated and helped those in need for sure.
Yeah. Here in Finland, one of the stories has been because of Lapland is relying, of course, on the tourists coming up where the season actually has been starting. And because of the success of 2019, many of these husky safari operators, there were some new businesses coming on board. And then with the COVID, then of course they had already committed to buy the puppies, and now of course since they couldn't forecast any income since there were no tourists because of the travel restrictions, they had some very difficult decisions to be made, and also didn't have enough funds to feed the puppies. So there was a dog food manufacturer, in fact, to donate a substantial amount of dog food just as a helping hand to support them. And also, more importantly, some of the tour operators who may have a difficulty to continue, there are people who are just reaching out and say, well, we'd like to adopt one of those husky puppies and to help out in a certain way so nothing else will happen to those beautiful animals. So, these are small things that goes around the world. And if you have any of your viewers, if you have any comments that you want to share, please share those, the comment that you have seen, what's happening in your part of the world. Even though we will end this live session in a moment, but I think for replay viewers, I think it's good to share certain things that you have observed during this time, because it will serve as an inspiration for everyone. Well, I was just looking for now comments, and I think people have been very impressed with your what you have presented to us. So I think we have had a very, very nice show, and I really appreciate Tonja, Paul, and Brian for joining us from Orlando, Florida. And so for all the viewers now, if you are interested in and you're in the planning of the setup of any meetings for the future and so on, the HelmsBriscoe people they have associates around the world, and I think if someone wants to contact you, where should they go? Is it going on your website, or what is the best way to reach out with HelmsBriscoe? Paul?
Yeah, sure. The best way to reach us is on HelmsBriscoe.com, and there's an associate locator. You can locate us by last name, So our names are on the screen, and you can certainly just pop that name in, and up I come with my phone numbers and email address. And that's probably the easiest, fastest way to find us, is just to go on HelmsBriscoe.com, look and use the associate locator.
Terrific. Well, again, Tonja, Paul, Brian, thank you very much for joining us today. And this was Hospitality Insights. And just look out for our next episode. And we will continue our global tour to meet industry professionals sharing their views and experiences from the pandemic, but more importantly, how they see the future. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sam-Erik.